Hidden political maneuvers shaped everything long before the Clone Wars erupted. The downfall of the Jedi wasn't sudden, it was carefully engineered. Chancellor Palpatine, secretly Darth Sidious, spent years molding the Republic into a system where the Jedi could be portrayed as traitors. It all began during the Naboo crisis, when he used the Trade Federation blockade to secure emergency powers. These powers were described as temporary wartime measures, but they created a dangerous precedent. Whenever security seemed threatened, the Chancellor could bypass normal Senate approval. As the separatist movement grew, more powers followed, each one framed as a reluctant but essential step to protect the Republic. Meanwhile, the Jedi were pulled deeper into politics and warfare. Once neutral mediators, they became generals leading the Grand Army of the Republic. HoloNet broadcasts slowly reshaped their public image from wise guardians to military commanders, connecting them directly to the consequences and losses of the war. Palpatine intentionally placed Jedi on the most visible battlefronts, so every setback or civilian casualty reflected back on them. Through calculated legislation, loyal senators tightened the chain of command until the Chancellor, not the Jedi Council, held final authority over the clone army. By the war's third year, Palpatine was able to issue military directives without Senate debate. At the same time, whispers spread across the galaxy that Jedi were questioning Palpatine's leadership and even considering removing him from office. These stories were planted through staged meetings, manipulated transmissions, and anonymous leaks. By the time the final command was issued, citizens were already prepared to doubt the Jedi and see them as potential threats. The weapon Palpatine needed was created on Kamino. The Kaminoans, experts in genetic engineering, designed clones built for discipline and absolute obedience. Central to their creation was the inhibitor chip, implanted in the earliest stages of growth. These chips held contingency orders locked away until activated by the correct authority. Among them was Order 66. If the Jedi ever opposed the Republic, clones were programmed to eliminate them immediately. The programming was flawless. The chip provided not only obedience, but also the conviction that the Jedi truly had betrayed the Republic. For the troopers, carrying out the order felt like loyalty, not treason. The Kaminoans did not trouble themselves with morality. Their priority was delivering the product requested by their client. Their loyalty was to their contract, not to Jedi who had never been told the chip even existed. While the inhibitor chips served Palpatine's agenda, they also aligned with the Kaminoans' belief in rigid social hierarchy. To them, clones were precision-engineered tools, not individuals with agency. Any feature that guaranteed compliance was simply good design. They viewed emotional bonds between clones and Jedi as unexpected side effects, variables outside their control. In private communications, some Kaminoan officials even debated whether further refinements should be made in future generations to prevent such attachments entirely, unaware that their existing work was already enough to bring down the order. Palpatine's plans worked in part because the Jedi failed to adapt. Their philosophy emphasized detachment and trust in the Force, principles that became vulnerabilities during wartime. Warning signs appeared. Some clones showed unsettling behavior, strange coordination, moments of emotional distance, or brief lapses that hinted at something hidden beneath the surface. These signs were dismissed as natural quirks of cloning. The Jedi Council also misjudged Palpatine's increasing political influence, believing that the Republic's democratic systems would naturally limit him. Most of all, the Jedi trusted the deep bonds they had formed with their clone commanders. After years of battles fought side by side, they could not imagine betrayal from soldiers they viewed as brothers. That trust became the blindfold that kept them from recognizing danger that had been present since the war began. You won't believe what some Jedi reportedly said about how unthinkable betrayal seemed just days before the order was given. Compounding these failures was the Council's growing isolation from the very galaxy they were sworn to protect. War demanded swift decisions, and political pressure forced the Jedi into roles they were never meant to fill. Their outreach to ordinary citizens dwindled, leaving them blind to the fear and distrust Palpatine quietly cultivated through propaganda. Meanwhile, intelligence reports hinting at odd behavior in certain battalions were buried under the chaos of the Outer Rim campaigns. By the time some Jedi began questioning why clones seemed increasingly synchronized in behavior, the trap had already closed. When the command was transmitted, it spread instantly through secure channels. Across dozens of worlds, clone troopers turned their weapons on their Jedi generals without hesitation. Ki Adi Mundi fell on Maigito, struck down mid-charge by the very men who had followed him into countless battles. Ayla Secura was shot on Felucia before she had time to react. Stas Ali was killed on Salukami during a routine patrol. Jedi trained to anticipate enemy attacks could not prepare for betrayal delivered at point-blank range by trusted allies at their side. The clones' years of service with the Jedi made them uniquely effective. They knew their commanders' reflexes, combat rhythms, and tactics. They could predict how the Jedi would respond and use that knowledge to strike with precision. In the chaos that followed, a disturbing pattern emerged. Each battalion executed the order with machine-like precision, as though rehearsed countless times. Communications logs recovered after the rise of the Empire revealed that many troopers acted within seconds of the transmission, coordinating their attacks with chilling uniformity. Those Jedi who sensed something was wrong found themselves overwhelmed not just by numbers, but by the clones' uncanny ability to anticipate escape routes or fallback positions. Their battlefield synergy, once the Jedi's greatest advantage, became the very mechanism that ensured their defeat. The Jedi Temple on Coruscant, long seen as the heart of the Order's history and authority, became the central target of the Purge. The assault was commanded by Darth Vader, once Anakin Skywalker, leading the elite 501 ST Legion. The first move was severing all communication. Distress calls never escaped the temple, and internal alerts were quietly rerouted into inactive channels. Breach teams advanced using insider codes known only to Anakin, shutting down temple defenses in minutes. Temple guards fought back, using tight corridors to counter the clones' numbers, but Vader personally crushed every line of resistance. Across training chambers and classrooms, Padawans and younglings found themselves cornered. Older students attempted to slip through the maintenance tunnels, but suppression squads were already stationed there. Vader ensured that no initiates survived, wiping out the future of the Order in a single night. Special units stormed the archives, seizing or destroying holocrons and star charts. Deep within the vaults, Sith artifacts once locked away by the Jedi were recovered for Palpatine's use. Anything that could not be secured was destroyed. Scattered Jedi attempted to regroup or flee, but hangars were sealed, fail-safes overridden, and escape routes shut down. Only a few slipped away through hidden service shafts unknown to most. Outside, the HoloNet broadcasted dramatic footage of the temple under siege. Official reports framed it as a justified response to a supposed Jedi coup. The war-weary public, recognizing familiar clone troopers enforcing order, accepted the explanation without question. You won't believe how quickly many citizens supported the operation simply because it appeared orderly and controlled. Despite its brutal efficiency, the Purge was not flawless. Natural variations among clones created rare moments of hesitation. Commander Rex resisted his programming long enough to warn Ahsoka Tano, giving her a chance to survive. Several Jedi were far from clone presence when the order was issued, giving them valuable time to hide. In rare cases, rumors about the inhibitor chips created doubt among certain clones, weakening the chip's influence. The operation also left temporary gaps in Imperial authority. With Jedi eliminated from key regions, some territories slipped into instability before the Empire could reassert control. These issues were quickly resolved, but they exposed the limitations of even Palpatine's carefully engineered plan. Some Imperial analysts later noted that the timing of the Order itself introduced complications. Not every battalion was an ideal formation when the command was delivered. Some were mid-combat, others scattered across hazardous terrain, forcing clones to improvise their attacks rather than execute perfect strikes. These improvised engagements occasionally created openings that quick-thinking Jedi exploited. While the number of survivors remained small, these imperfections revealed that even the most tightly controlled contingency could not account for every battlefield condition. Although Palpatine publicly claimed the Jedi were extinct, he knew that some had escaped. Imperial intelligence, the Imperial Security Bureau, and numerous bounty hunters were assigned to track them down. The Empire monitored communications for encoded Jedi signals, stationed patrols along hyperspace routes, and spread propaganda painting the Jedi as dangerous extremists. Bounty hunters pursued fugitives beyond Imperial reach, while fear campaigns discouraged civilians from offering shelter. Surviving Jedi often abandoned their names and lightsabers, choosing to live quietly in unfamiliar places. For them, survival meant resisting both detection and the constant temptation to reveal themselves by helping others. The hunt lasted for years, and even after the Republic's clone army faded away, the mission to eradicate Jedi continued. In the aftermath, several sectors briefly questioned the sudden withdrawal or death of their Jedi generals, sparking confusion among local defense forces. Some planetary militias hesitated to accept clone authority without explanation, forcing the Empire to deploy diplomatic envoys and additional regiments to maintain order. Although these disturbances were swiftly contained, they demonstrated how deeply the Jedi had been woven into the Republic's military structure, and how violently their removal shook the galaxy's sense of stability. Order 66 succeeded because of a set of conditions that existed only at that specific point in history. The clone army was a single, centralized military force, millions of identical soldiers bred for obedience and controlled by one chancellor. The Jedi, spread thin across distant worlds, lacked allies and commanded no private armies of their own. Palpatine influenced both the Senate and the media, ensuring his narrative dominated before competing stories could gain traction. Years of conflict had made the public accustomed to military authority, so the Purge appeared as just another step in maintaining security. These circumstances could never be recreated. The Empire eventually replaced clones with conscripted soldiers from countless backgrounds, removing the complete unity that had made Order 66 possible. The Jedi Order itself ceased to function as a single institution, eliminating any centralized target. Over time, communication networks became far too widespread for any single single authority to control. Order 66 was a rare convergence of political manipulation, centralized power, and absolute military obedience, something that could only happen once. Order 66 was not a sudden betrayal, but the result of decades of preparation. Palpatine's political manipulation, Kaminoan engineering, Jedi misjudgments, and a war that blurred the line between peacekeepers and soldiers all came together. In a single night, the Guardians of the Republic were branded traitors and erased.